I was the guy everyone called the genius. You know, the one who always had the right answer, the one teachers loved, the one who never failed. But then came the lab experiment that changed everything. My girlfriend Sienna and I had been together for 4 months. She was stunning, popular, and always seemed to need my help with her homework. At first, I didn't mind. I liked feeling needed, but then came the day of the chemistry practical. I'd stayed up all night binge-watching some random show, thinking I could wing it like I always did. Spoiler alert, I couldn't. The experiment was about titration, mixing acids and bases to find the perfect balance. Sounds simple, right? Not when you're running on 2 hours of sleep. I messed up the measurements, spilled the solution, and accidentally set off the fire alarm. The whole lab had to evacuate, and I got a big, fat 0 on the assignment. When the grades came out, Sienna was furious. "How could you do this to me?" she yelled, waving her paper in my face. She'd gotten a 60%, and apparently my failure had dragged her down too. Before I could even explain, she stormed off, leaving me standing there like an idiot. I tried to talk to her later, but she wasn't having it. "You're supposed to be the smart one, Elias," she said, her voice dripping with disappointment. "If you can't help me, what's the point?" I didn't know what to say. I just stood there, feeling like the biggest failure in the world, but things got worse. Later that day, I walked into the library to clear my head, and there she was, Sienna, sitting at a table with Declan, the guy who always seemed to be lurking around her. They were laughing, their heads close together, and then, as I watched in horror, he leaned in and kissed her. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My stomach churned, and I thought I was going to throw up right there in the library. I turned and ran, barely making it to the bathroom before I lost it. As I stood there splashing water on my face, I heard the door open. It was Amara, this quiet girl from my English class who always sat in the back, doodling in her notebook. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. I didn't know what to say. How could I explain that my girlfriend had just cheated on me because I failed a chemistry lab? But Amara didn't push. She just handed me a tissue and said, "Chemistry sucks. I failed that lab too." That caught me off guard. "You did?" I asked, wiping my face. "Yeah," she said with a shrug. "Titration's a nightmare. But hey, at least I didn't set off the fire alarm." I couldn't help but laugh, even though it hurt. For the first time all day, I felt like maybe I wasn't alone. The next few days were a blur. Sienna and Declan were everywhere, holding hands in the hallway, sharing lunches, and basically rubbing their relationship in my face. It hurt, but I tried to focus on my work. Amara and I started studying together after school. She was nothing like Sienna, quiet, thoughtful, and way more into books than popularity contests. We met in the library every day, working through chemistry problems and helping each other understand the material. It wasn't easy, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was learning for myself, not just to impress someone else. One day, as we were going over molar calculations, Amara looked up from her notebook and said, "You know, you're not as bad at this as you think you are." I raised an eyebrow. "Thanks, I think?" She laughed. "I mean, you're not a lost cause. You just need to stop doubting yourself." Her words stuck with me. Maybe she was right. Maybe I'd been so caught up in being the genius that I'd forgotten how to actually learn. A few weeks later, we had another chemistry test. This time, I was prepared. Amara and I had spent hours going over every problem, every equation, every concept. When the test came, I felt confident for the first time in months. When the grades came back, I couldn't believe it. I'd gotten a 98%. Amara had gotten a 97%. The teacher even gave us a shout out in front of the whole class. "Elias and Amara have shown incredible improvement," she said. "This is what hard work looks like." I felt a surge of pride, but it was short-lived. As I was packing up my things, Sienna approached me. "Elias, you're the smartest guy in school again," she said, batting her eyelashes like nothing had happened. "Maybe we can pick up where we left off?" I just shook my head. "I'm not the same person, Sienna," I said, "and you're not the person I thought you were." As I walked away, I saw Amara waiting for me by the lockers. She smiled, and for the first time in months, I felt like everything was going to be okay. Amara and I kept studying together, but it wasn't just about chemistry anymore. We talked about everything. Books, movies, our dreams, our fears. I found out she loved poetry and had a secret talent for drawing. She found out I played the guitar and had a weird obsession with space documentaries. One day, as we were working on a particularly tricky physics problem, Amara looked up and said, "You know, I'm glad you failed that chemistry lab." I blinked. "What?" She grinned. "If you hadn't, we never would have started hanging out." I laughed. "Yeah, I guess you're right. The semester ended with a big chemistry final. Amara and I aced it, of course. But more importantly, I'd learned something far more valuable than how to balance equations. I'd learned that it's okay to fail, as long as you don't let it define you. And I'd learned that sometimes, the people who matter most are the ones who stick by you when you're at your lowest. As we walked out of the classroom that day, Amara turned to me and said, "So, what's next?" I smiled. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together."